2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session. I hope we're live. One page saying that we're live, the other one says that we're not live. So, okay, I see myself on YouTube, so we're live. Perfect. I'm Christos Vaharakis. I'm Senior Code Contributor Program Manager, and with me I have Orit, a Senior Product Manager. Sorry. Today we're going to talk about the GitLab release stage tutorial. But before we do that, let me just do a really brief announcement. I'm going to share my screen. So, so far, we are welcome again to the GitLab Hackathon. We are in the beginning of the hackathon, let's say in the first quarter of the hackathon. We had our kickoff call earlier this morning, and then we had an office hours call, an office hour call, and this is the third session that we have. So far, we have 29 merge requests submitted, which is great. Just some reminders. If it's the first time you're contributing to GitLab, you can check out the contribute page. You can check out the suggested issues for this hackathon on this link there. Generally, your source of truth is the hackathon page, where you can find all the necessary information, the prizes as well, and the schedule for all of the sessions. And with also in some sessions, you can find related issues with some issues and some more information about the specific project. So feel free to check them out. By clicking on the date, you can find your local time as well of each session. Also, another reminder that it's really important for everyone to respect the community code of conduct. We here at GitLab, we thrive to build and foster a healthy, inclusive, and safe environment. So in case that you notice some negative behaviors, some behaviors that don't they're inappropriate, please reach out to contact@gitlab.com. We always keep an eye on our merge requests or communication, and also on our Gitter. And speaking of Gitter, there is the Gitter channel set up for community and GitLab members to ask questions, to communicate, collaborate, and coordinate. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ping me as well. And with no further ado, I will pass it over to Orit. Thanks again for being with us. Let me stop my screen, and I'll leave it to you.
Thank you. So I hope that you can see my screen. Please let me know. Great. So what I wanted to do today is, first of all, introduce myself. My name is Orit Golowinski, and I'm the Senior Product Manager of the release stage. The release stage is combined release management and progressive delivery. Last year, we were 2 groups. Now we're a consolidated group. And just kind of walk through what we have on the stage and some of the leading features that we have that we're working on today. So the release stage is part of the ops stage. If we know our very friendly DevOps slide, the release stage is right after verifying package, but it also goes back. We know that the DevOps loop is an infinite loop. So after verify, after continuous integration, we go into release, which includes continuous delivery. And from there, we can also go into package, configure, monitor, which are part of all of these are part of the ops stage. So as I mentioned in the slide, it's responsible for building and testing, packaging, and releasing the software, where release is kind of on the fine line between continuous integration that creates build packages until the final release binary artifact that's created and stored in the package registry. And as I mentioned, it includes verify package, release, also monitor, and configure stages. And our objective is really to make it effective and easy to deploy wherever, whenever, and make everything as automatic as possible. Also making sure that we have different security gates traceability, whether it's for compliance or for other reasons, to see what happened throughout my pipeline, who did what and when, and so it's easy to trace, and also giving users the ability to control and monitor deployments and really make actionable insights and actions done from those monitoring capabilities. And so specifically to release, these are the categories that we own. Continuous delivery. So this includes both continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So it's an extension to the GitLab CI YAML file that includes a job for deployment. So if you're already using continuous integration with GitLab, this is the next logical step. Just adding on another job that does the deployment for you. We have review apps. For those of you that are not familiar with review apps, it's a feature that allows you to preview your changes based on your feature branch, your merge request, and it spins up a production-like environment that lets you view what your changes will look like in a production-like environment without actually deploying to production, and lets you collaborate with your team, send this URL to people on your team, outside your team, even to customers, and get feedback before it actually reaches production. So it's a really great way to collaborate and get feedback. We have advanced deployments, which is a very nice way to get incremental changes into production. So advanced deployments could be blue-green deployments. It can be canary deployments, incremental rollout, and similar deployment methods that let you deploy very small changes to production, get feedback, and then make a conscious decision whether you're going to continue rolling out your changes based on the feedback that you're getting, or if you need to scale down or roll back. The next category that we have is feature flags. Feature flags is a really nice way to control features and segment them to a specific audience. So not all your users are going to get the specific feature. And what this lets you do is very similar to advanced deployments, is kind of develop a feature, roll it out to production to a very limited number of users, start getting feedback, see if the feedback is good. Then you can increase exposure to additional users. And if it wasn't good, you can just turn off the flag. Users will not be able to see it, and no harm done. Release orchestration, it's a pretty large category. It includes everything that someone needs in order to create releases. Whether it's the entire workflow, it could be deciding on deployment freezes, deciding on release notes, which issues or epics or merge requests are going to be related to specific releases, which binary artifact that we mentioned at the end is tied to a release, and so on. And Pages is a really nice feature that we have for storing static websites in GitLab, mainly for internal purposes of your company, but not limited to. So those are kind of a high-level overview of what we own in the release stage. And I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about specific things that we're working on. I see that we have some people that joined, so if anyone has questions, feel free to jump in and ask, whether you want to verbalize it or through the chat. So we have lots of documentation around different functionality that we already have in the release stage. So for example, auto deploy, which is one of the stages in auto DevOps that lets you automatically deploy, whether you're using Kubernetes or deploying non-Kubernetes to AWS. Deploy freezes, which I shortly mentioned, which allows you to set specific dates and times where deployment is not allowed. So the deployment will only happen after. So a really good example of that is like the holidays that we just had. Lots of companies don't want to do deployments during Christmas, New Year's time, where a lot of the people are on vacation. You can just set up a deploy freeze and no deployments will be done at that time. Deploy boards. This is a really nice way to view your environments and see how the rollout is going out. So if you're using Kubernetes, for example, you can see the pods that are scaling up or down during an incremental rollout. Canary deployments. So very briefly, what a Canary deployment does is allows you to have a production environment that is stable and allow your developers to start working on a new environment that's based off of that production environment, and then slowly exposing more users to the Canary deployments. Again, very much connected to metrics and feedback. And if you see that everything is okay, once you started deploying to Canary, you can increase the exposure of more users to more pods. And if something goes wrong, it's really easy to scale down and go back to your previous production environment. So again, feedback here is key. Environment dashboard. This is something really nice that we worked on this year, which kind of gives you an overview of different environments that you have throughout your projects and the status that they're in. Is something waiting for a manual approval? Is there an alert on something? Is there something that needs attention? It's a really, really nice high-level overview of what's going on. And of course, you can drill down and see specific problems. The release page, for those of you that are not familiar, you can create a release, whether it's based on a tag or not, and then get all the different issues or merge requests that were related to that release. It gives you a really nice release note view of everything that was included in the release, including the binary artifact and its SHA, so that you can make sure that what the users have, what your customers have when you're releasing, is that exact release version. Environments and deployments. So this is kind of leaning on what we discussed about on Canary and environments. You can see the different environments, create and remove environments. This can be production, staging, development environments, but it can also be review app environments, which are short-lived, and also the ability to see all the different deployments that you had in a specific environment. And you can even go back and select a specific deployment that you want to roll back to and just redeploy that and go back to a previous deployment. Environment-specific variables. This is under settings. You can configure different kinds of variables, whether they're going to be used in the pipeline or on other areas in the system, even, for example, your AWS secrets or other types of variables that will let you skip different stages in the pipeline or others. There's so much over there, just read about it. There's a lot to talk about there. Runbooks. So this is a really interesting concept of release orchestration where you have this checklist that you have to do for every release. And so runbooks lets you automate that and create this automated step of make sure that you turned off all your feature flags before releasing to production, got all your manual approvals, did everything that you needed to do. Release evidence, again, around binary artifacts and making sure that it really, every action that we did in the pipeline and in the release is logged, and so that it's easy to trace. GitLab CI/CD. So as I mentioned, CD is one of the categories that we have under the release stage, and it's a very natural continuation from CI, and they go hand in hand. Pages, which is what we mentioned, the static site that can be hosted directly in GitLab, and feature flags, which allow you to toggle features on or off or expose them to a very minimal subset of users that you can define. Okay, so now I want to talk about a little bit about specific things that we're working on right now, and also kind of ask for community contributions around these areas. So the first thing that I want to talk about is something that we worked on for the last few months, which is streamlining AWS deployments. And when you think about it, cloud deployments is very similar. It doesn't really matter, you know, what your company does or what tech stack you're using. They're pretty much, the steps are very similar. So what we wanted to do was make it really easy and flexible to deploy to the cloud. And we selected to start with AWS. And the way that we did this was we kind of thought about it as a microservice architecture. So what we did was we constructed atomic Docker images that do very, very specific things. For example, just connect to the AWS CLI, which will allow you to run any AWS CLI command directly from your GitLab CI YAML file. So that's an example of one of the Docker images that we provided. And you can use these images and call them from an include directly from your GitLab CI YAML file. These are all stored in the cloud-deploy project in GitLab to be used from there. And if you don't want to just use Docker images, we also provided predefined full GitLab CI YAML templates that do the entire CI/CD templates pipeline, but end up with deploying to AWS. So basically, you need to provide your AWS secrets, for example, using the environment variables that we mentioned, and then just call one of the deployment templates, whether it's deploy ECS or deploy EC2, and this will do everything for you. And lastly, what we did was also connect this to Auto DevOps, which allows you to use all the benefits of Auto DevOps with all the built-in stages already, DAST and SAST testing, auto build, auto everything, auto test. So we connected the ability to also deploy to AWS the Auto DevOps pipeline. And what's really nice about that was that Auto DevOps was only supporting Kubernetes deployments, and now we introduced this for non-Kubernetes deployments for users deploying to AWS. So what I would really, really like to see if anyone from the community would, take this challenge and see if they're not deploying specifically to AWS, maybe to another cloud provider. I put here 2 different examples. One is GCP and one is Azure to kind of help us out with that. Build Docker images that do connect to the CLI specifically so we can use or full templates. And on the right-hand side, you can see what this looks like in terms of the AWS variables. We kind of set predefined variables for AWS, and then we even help the users find the different templates that we mentioned. Okay, another big effort that we started working on is called Door4. Door4 is a common name for specific metrics that you want to use in order to measure your DevOps ROI. So this is an industry standard, and there's really 4 main metrics that we want to collect. One of them is deployment frequency, which tells you how often code gets pushed to production. Lead time for changes, how long it takes for a code to be committed and reach production. With the GitLab definition, we kind of define this as how long it takes for a merge request to be merged. Time to restore a service, how long does it take to restore a service when there's a service incident? So I don't know if everyone's aware, but we also have incident response issues supported in GitLab as well as part of the monitor stage. And change failure rate is what percentage of changes to production result in degraded service. So we can define this as required us to roll back to a previous release, as we mentioned in the deployments. So those are the 4 different metrics, and the way that we started working on this was we introduced an API that lets you get the data in the first place, and now we're adding this to the UI itself. So on the right-hand side, you can see here we have value stream analytics, and you can see here the lead time that we already have, the cycle time, also the deployment frequency that I mentioned. And we're adding this, we're going to add this under the project analytics that you can see on the left-hand side of GitLab, where you currently see the number of pipelines that run. So we're going to add this information here under CI/CD analytics, both for the project level and for the group level. And what this is going to allow users to do is actually measure and see how they're improving over time, or if there's anything that will require some attention in order to get to a higher performing team. This also goes hand in hand with cloud deployments, because in the Door4 Metrics report, in the Door4 report of 2019, there was a tight line and correlation between high performing teams and teams that deploy to the cloud. So they also kind of connect together in that way. The next feature that we worked on, and I'm really, really excited about this because we just delivered in 13.7 the ability to do auto rollback as part of this epic, which is really, really powerful. And what this does is, and we talk a lot about feedback and why it's important. So what we wanted to do here in post-deployment monitoring is increase visibility of deployments. So what you can see here is the environment page. And what we did was add alerts into the environment page so you can see at any given time if there's any alert that needs attention on your environment. And if there is a critical alert that requires attention, you can do something about it. You can either do a rollback. So you can see here, for example, I don't know if you can see because it's pretty small, but the commit shot here and here is the same. So someone saw there was an error, and then they decided to roll back to this previous release because this one was giving problems and had this critical alert. And so if you want to make use of auto rollback, for example, you need to enable it in the setting. And if there's a critical alert, it will auto rollback. But there's so many more features that we have around this functionality, like manual rollbacks, logging, and so on. So a lot of effort going towards this as well. Advanced deployments. So in the introduction to what we do in the release stage, I kind of mentioned advanced deployments that we support, and we currently support blue-green deployments, incremental rollout, and Canary. At the moment, all of these are supported for Kubernetes. And what it looks like in GitLab is, if you can see here, the environment page, this one looks a little bit different than our previous page because this one shows the pods. So if you have Kubernetes, you can actually see the different rollouts. You can see here a Canary release. You can see the dark green is our new deployments and how it's rolling out. And kind of the empty green spaces is the previous production rollout. So you can see and monitor and see what's going on at any given moment. You can see in staging, we got to 100% complete for the entire new deployment. And here it's not complete, it's 59% complete. And you can see that if there's any problem at this point, you can scale down, roll back, or even abort the rollout. And so something really interesting that we want to combine now is actually introducing this for non-Kubernetes users and introducing advanced deployments for AWS. So similar to what we talked about with the streamlining to AWS, now we want to connect it to deploy boards and allow you to do blue-green, not only for Kubernetes, but also for other types of orchestration. Feature flags. So we kind of talked a little bit about what feature flags does. Our feature flag solution is built on top of open source Unleash. And again, what this allows you to do is really control your features, control the audience that's going to get a new feature, even allow you to work on a feature before it's actually ready, and kind of hide it from the user interface for users that shouldn't be allowed to be exposed to it. Maybe you only want to show it to internal team members. Maybe you have beta users that you want to allow to experiment with the feature and give you feedback. And that's already supported today. We support different type of strategies around feature flag usage. So for example, we support percentage of users, specific user IDs, user lists, and flexible rollout also. And what was really exciting about feature flags is that in 13.5, we moved this capability to core. So now everyone can enjoy the use of feature flags. And so we're really excited. We already got 2 community contributions around feature flags once it went core, with the ability to connect webhooks that tell you when a feature is toggled on or off. And we're also adding a lot of ability around contextual information and connecting feature flags to other stages. For example, connecting issues or merge requests or even the code to feature flags. And so there's really, really nice visibility of what's going on in your system. Release CLI, this is pretty neat. What this does is kind of gives you the ability to create releases directly from your GitLab CI YAML file. And so you can create, update, modify, delete releases directly from the terminal or from the YAML. And so there's quite a lot of activity being done there. And coincidentally, today I actually opened up an issue to actually connect all the different release API endpoints to this nice little tool that can be used. So this is a really exciting effort as well. GitLab Pages is one of our oldest and most loved features. So again, this supports different static websites that you can connect to, Jekyll, Hugo, other different static websites, and kind of spin up a really fast static website to be hosted in GitLab. There's quite a few issues around that are just waiting to be picked up. The team actually has been really, really busy with a huge infrastructure change to store pages in object storage instead of the current file system NFS that it is working in today. So there hasn't been a lot of time to work on different small improvements. So if anything that the community can do here to help our other wider community members would be greatly appreciated. What's next in the future? So we want to support a bunch of things on the group level. Here it says environments, but there's so many more things that we want to support on the group level, whether it's Door4, whether it's resource groups and so on. Expand compliance, have a director dashboard kind of connected to Door4. As I mentioned, support multi-cloud deployments, and not only AWS, contextual connections, and A/B testing, which is also built on top of feature flags. How can you find community contributions specific for the release stage? I don't know if I think we shared this slide also on the website, but so there's a link here, but if you don't want to use the link, you can also filter by yourself. So we can use the DevOps release label, will filter by the release stage. And we have a convention for accepting merge requests for anything that kind of the community can pick up as the second label. And a different filter that you can use is a label for good for new contributors, which is really kind of issues that are pretty easy to pick up and small and contained. So that was the overview. Any questions?
Let me check also Gitter in the meantime. Gitter, there is a conversation about UI, not relevant to that, so let's see. Oh. Omar, Benson, any questions maybe? No questions.
Well, in any case, if anyone does have any questions later on and doesn't want to voice over right now, please ping me on any of the issues I'm available, or email me at ogolowinski@gitlab.com, and I will try to answer everything as quickly as possible. And yeah, I'm really excited about this.
Thank you so much. And and generally, if people have any questions, feel free to reach out on Gitter as well. There's a general question from Benson. Can one use this for tracking operating systems that are continuously released?
I'm not sure that I understand exactly, Benson. Use what? Can use what to track operating systems that are continually released? If your product is an operating system and you're using GitLab to release it, absolutely. If you're looking for third-party operating systems that you're looking for updates there, if they're using GitLab, absolutely. Another workaround that I think we could do is, if you have some kind of listener or crawler that kind of looks through updates of websites of an operating system that you're specifically interested in, and you can make some automation that updates, for example, GitLab Pages for that, absolutely.
Let's wait to see whether Benson has a follow-up.
Product using GitLab. If a product is using GitLab and you're already using Git tags, and you can create releases directly from GitLab, you can connect all the issues to specific releases or milestones yes, you will see on the release page everything that's connected to that specific release or tag, and you can get a nice list. When you decide to finally close the release and deploy it, the latest binary image will be locked down to that and will be used as the release evidence of that specific release, connected to the release shell for compliance reasons.
Thank you all. If there are no questions, we can wrap up. Thank you so much, Orit, for making the time. Is it Orit or Orit? Sorry, I'm always.
It's Orit, but it's okay. I'm used to having my name butchered. It's fine.
It happens the same with me all the time. Sorry about that. All right. Wishes for a great evening, afternoon, or morning to everyone. Thanks again. And the people who are going to join the next session, see you again in 25 minutes. For the rest, happy hiking.
Bye. Thank you.